The illusion of separation, the cause and culprits behind not living authentically. Welcome, and thanks for showing up. This is the introductory teaching for the Life Mastery series. Before we begin the 8 Life Mastery steps, it's important to understand the original pattern that keeps so many of us disconnected from the life we deeply desire. First, I want to share why I use the term innerstanding in the series versus understanding. This concept of innerstanding is one of the strongest parts of the entire framework of the 8 steps. Understanding is about the logic, analysis, and information, whereas innerstanding is the mind, body, and heart, and awareness. It is sensation, intuition, and knowing. It is you trusting in self, knowing your value and standing in the light of your own truth versus influenced by outer opinions or expectations. Innerstanding is not intellectual understanding. It is the lived, felt knowing that comes from within your body, your heart, and your deeper awareness. It is knowing without needing to prove, feeling truth instead of thinking about it, and being guided from within rather than directed from outside. Innerstanding is the wisdom that arises from within you. It is not something you think your way through. It is something you feel your way into and through. It is the quiet, steady knowing that comes when your mind softens and your body speaks. Innerstanding is where intuition lives. It is where truth is recognized, not analyzed. It is where clarity becomes embodied. Innerstanding is felt truth, not thought truth. Innerstanding is when your body confirms what your mind cannot decide. When you are innerstanding, you're no longer seeking answers outside yourself. You are listening inward, trusting what you feel, and allowing your inner authority to guide your path. This is the core teaching of the entire series. The innerstanding is the moment you stop asking, "Is this right?" and begin to feel, "This is true." The original pattern that keeps so many of us disconnected from the life we deeply desire. I call this pattern the illusion of separation. The illusion of separation is the false belief that we are separate from love, separate from worth, separate from guidance, separate from our true self, and separate from the abundant life we were meant to experience. This illusion becomes the root cause, and from this cause comes its companion culprits: trapped memories, fear-based thoughts, unresolved emotions, old conditioning, self-doubt, shame, guilt, and the subconscious belief that we are not enough exactly as we are. These patterns aren't proof that something's wrong with you. They are evidence that some part of you learned to survive. At some point, especially early in life, many of us learn to adapt. We learn to please. We learn to hide certain feelings, silence certain needs, and become what seemed acceptable in order to feel safe, loved, or included. But survival is not the same as authenticity, and being accepted for who you learn to become is not the same as being free to live as who you truly are. Over time, the real self becomes covered by layers of fear, comparison, disappointment, rejection, betrayal, abandonment, people-pleasing, and emotional protection. You may begin to question your own knowing. You may seek permission outside of yourself. You may distrust your feelings. You may abandon your own truth in order to keep peace, receive approval, or avoid loss. This is how separation becomes internal. It is not only the belief that you are separate from God, Source, love, or the universe. It is also the moment you become separate from yourself. But the real you has never disappeared. Your authentic self has always been there. Your divine magnificence has always existed beneath the layers. You have not been broken. You have been buried beneath beliefs, memories, and emotions that were never meant to define you. Why they still affect your thoughts, emotions, choices, relationships, health, finances, and purpose, and how the 8 steps will gently guide you back into alignment with the truth of who you are. This is why I encourage you not to skip the introductory teaching. Skipping the innerstanding of the cause would be like trying to clean only the surface while leaving the deeper pattern untouched. The 8 steps are powerful, but this teaching gives you the foundation for why the practices matter and how transformation truly begins. In this series, we're not simply trying to think more positively. We are learning to become present with the subconscious beliefs, trapped emotions, and old survival patterns that have been shaping your life from beneath the surface. Because you can't affirm yourself into abundance while part of you still believes you're unworthy. You can't force yourself into love while part of you still believes love is unsafe. And you can't fully step into purpose while part of you is still afraid to be seen. This is why we begin at the root. The illusion of separation teaches us that we must become someone other than who we truly are in order to be loved, accepted, safe, and worthy. It convinces us that authenticity is risky, that our needs are too much, that our emotions are inconvenient, that our dreams are unrealistic, that our worth must be earned, and that our love can be lost if we are fully ourselves. But that is the illusion. The truth is, you are never separate from love, you are never separate from worth, you are never separate from guidance, and you are never separate from your authentic self. You simply forgot. And now, through this journey, you are remembering. The Life Mastery series will guide you through 8 transformational steps. Awaken, acknowledge, accept, release, repair, restore, align, and activate. Each step is designed to help you lift another veil, release another layer, and return more fully to your authentic self. We will gently move from the state I call the meaningless mess, where life feels confusing, fear-based, reactive, and out of control, into the magical manifester, where awareness awakens and change becomes possible, and then finally into the mindful, magnificent me, the authentic self who lives with presence, purpose, trust, joy, love, and inner authority. The goal is not to reject the parts of you that have struggled. The goal is to bring them home. The wounded self, the fearful self, the critic, the protector, the one who learned to hide, those parts do not need judgment. They need loving attention. They need to be heard, understood, and gently guided back into truth. Because the ego, the fear, and the old survival patterns are not enemies. They are parts of you that were trying to protect you with limited understanding. They simply helped you survive. But now they no longer need to lead. Now, through awareness, compassion, sound, color, imagery, guidance, and somatic practice, we can begin to reprogram the old belief. I am separate, I am not enough, I must become someone else to be loved, and we replace it with the higher truth. I am whole, I am worthy, I am guided, I am safe to be real. This is the return to authenticity. This is the return to self. This is the beginning of living from your inner authority rather than fear, conditioning, or the expectations of others. So, before moving into the 8 steps, take this time to understand the original cause and its culprits. Let this teaching become the doorway, because once you understand how you become disconnected, you can begin to reconnect. Once you see the illusion, you can begin to step out of it. And once you return to the truth of who you are, life no longer has to be a meaningless mass. It can become a guided, conscious, purposeful journey back to wholeness. You are not here to become someone new. You are here to remember who you have always been. And now, we can begin the process of coming home. My intention here for you is for you to be great, because you are already magnificent. And in the awesomeness of you, living from wholeness, being your authentic self, dance like no one is watching, sing like no one is listening, love like you've never been hurt, live in blissful joy and full abundance in your unique heaven on earth.